please go to Finnegans Wake Notes.net for a full explanation of the text, and please don't forget to hit the like button.
Welcome to the summary of Chapter 3 of Finnegans Wake by James Joyce. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment to support us. Also, please visit FinnegansWakeNotes.net for more details on the text. And welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are really getting into it, tackling Chapter 3 of Finnegans Wake. That's pages 48 to 74.
Yeah, this is a big shift. The first couple of chapters set up these huge, almost timeless myths, Finnegan falling, the big legends.
Right, the foundational stuff.
Exactly. But Chapter 3, it yanks us right back down to the ground. We're suddenly in the middle of the immediate fallout from HCC's scandal. It's messy, it's public, it's chaotic.
So we're moving from myth to scandal, really.
From history to farce, almost. And our mission today for this deep dive is kind of to unpack how that happens. How does this vague, maybe even pathetic, private incident involving HCE? Here it comes, everybody.
Good old HCE.
How does his slip-up get blown up into this massive public myth, leading to his trial, his condemnation, and even, bizarrely, him being locked up for his own good? We're watching a public spectacle get born, basically.
And Joyce tells us up front it's going to be murky, doesn't he?
Oh, absolutely. He warns us right away. There's this, quote, fog screen of scandal where little can be clarified. It's like Joyce is saying, look, don't come here expecting the simple truth.
Yeah, forget clarity. It's almost like the point is the confusion. The source material even calls the chapter a scurzerade or 1001 a scurzerade. That's like part joke, part puzzle, part performance.
Yeah, a charade mixed with a scherzo, like a playful, maybe deceptive musical piece. It's all performance. And another key line hammers it home. That sort of certainty, which would identify the body, never falls. Meaning the final judgment, the absolute truth about what happened, who HCE really is, it never arrives. It's just endless gossip, shifting stories, what someone called a freak fog of information.
Sounds depressingly familiar, actually, like scrolling through social media sometimes. The rumor mill is everything.
It really does feel modern in that way. And structurally, this chapter makes it clear. Finnegan, the ancient giant, is gone. We're dealing with HCE now. He's the living father, the patriarch of this current kind of broken cycle, according to Vico's ideas.
So he's not some figure from the past. He's the guy whose screw-up is happening now and shaping everything.
Exactly. He's the Viconian patriarch in the Age of Men. His scandal, his presence, even in disgrace, it's active.
Okay, so if he's the living father, his trial must be a huge public event. Let's get into that. The sources say it's basically performance art.
Oh, it's pure public theater. This section, pages 48 to 62, roughly, it feels like man-on-the-street interviews or maybe a witness stand parade. All these different characters just voluntarily arise to explain HCE's case.
But they aren't impartial witnesses, are they? That's the twist.
Not even close. They're totally compromised. The source material notes that somehow they all resemble the accused.
Wait, really? The barmaid, the tennis player, the chef, they all look like HCE.
Or at least share his characteristics. If HCE is, here comes everybody, then the public judging him is basically looking in a mirror. They're judging themselves.
Wow. So the trial isn't about justice for HCE. It's the public judging its own reflection, a kind of collective self-condemnation.
That's a great way to put it. It's less about finding guilt and more about this collective psychological need. They need a scapegoat. You get these comments like the chef saying in broken English, your egg, he must break himself.
His egg must break itself.
Yeah, implying inevitability, maybe self-destruction. These comments just fuel the rumor mill against the celebrated wrongdoer. The facts get lost in the noise.
Okay, so that sets the scene for the specific incident that supposedly started all this, the night encounter. What actually happened? It always seems so vague.
Deliberately vague, I think. The story goes there's this tall man humping a suspicious parcel, presumably HCE, coming home late from some show.
Humping a suspicious parcel.
Yeah, okay. And then suddenly, he had a Barkis revolver placed to his face with the words, "You're shot, Major."
Whoa, so someone held him up, threatened him. That sounds serious.
It does. But then HCE opens his mouth and the whole thing just collapses into absurdity. His defense is legendary.
What did he say?
Well, the text says he was murthering Irish, a great pun, linking his slurred, maybe drunken Irish speech to murder. He claims he stumbled and fell near a gateway pillar because he false-took for a caterpillar.
A caterpillar? What on earth is a caterpillar?
It's this amazing Joycean word. It blends caterpillar, a crawling thing, with cattle, like livestock, and the actual gateway pillar he stumbled near.
So he's saying he thought a stone pillar was a giant, slow-moving cow insect, and that's why he fell.
Pretty much. It's a ridiculous excuse. He's basically saying, I wasn't doing anything dodgy, I was just drunk and clumsy and mistook the architecture for, well, for a cattle pillar. It minimizes any crime, but maximizes the potential for ridicule.
That's brilliant. The perfect Joycean non-crime. Just being human and awkward.
Yeah. Exactly. And this is the crime the legal system now has to deal with. Which brings us to the testimony of Special Constable Long Lally Tobkids.
Ah, the legal farce part. This is where Joyce really skewers the whole process, right?
Oh, completely. Tobkids sounds like he's reading from a script, a conscientious scripture reader. He takes his oath with lines like, I a pot pie oath, Phillips Captain. It's all garbled formality.
It sounds like nonsense.
It basically is. Joyce is mocking the rituals of law, showing how trials can become these elaborate performances where rhetoric and wordplay just bury the truth deeper. It's not about facts, it's about the sounds, the phrases, the game.
So the law, which you'd hope would bring clarity, just adds another layer to that fog screen of scandal.
Perfectly put. And that leads to the big paradox of this chapter. We're told quite clearly on page 67, the trial itself went in our hero's favor.
So he was acquitted? Or they couldn't prove anything?
Legally, yes. He seems to have avoided actual conviction.
But that's not the end of it.
Not at all. Because public opinion had already decided he was guilty. The text says, public rumor rose so strongly against him that he was later incarcerated for his own protection.
Locked up. For his own protection.
Yeah.
From the public who judged him.
Exactly. It's an incredible commentary on mob mentality and scapegoating. He's not jailed for a crime he was convicted of. He's locked up because the public hatred makes him a target. He's imprisoned by gossip, supposedly for his own safety.
That's chilling. The mob's verdict trumps the court's. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. What happened to the women involved in the original park incident? The temptresses.
Ah, yes, the women in the case. Their fates are also part of the fallout, and they kind of represent two sides of the coin. We're told they came to unhappy ends.
How so?
Well, the focus is on two main figures. One is described as a soiled dove who had a Valkyria license.
A Valkyrie license.
We've-
Valkyrie,
yeah.
like the Norse myth.
Yes,
and
yeah.
license.
It's another amazing Joycean blend. It combines Valkyrie, those powerful female figures who dies in battle, with the prayer, Kyrie eleison, Lord have mercy, and maybe license, as in permission or perhaps licentiousness.
So she's like a chooser of her own downfall, but also asking for mercy. That's complex.
Extremely. And she seems to lean into the scandal. The text says she took to necking, partying, and selling her spare favors everywhere. Haymows, closets, even the sweet churchyard clothes itself. She becomes the public face of the fallen woman.
The one who fully embodies the label society gives her. And the other one, the sort of sister figure.
She just fades away. The text says she paled off. She represents the quieter victim, the one wounded by the shame who retreats.
So you have the flamboyant scapegoat and the silent casualty.
Exactly. It mirrors the two sides of assault later on, the passionate dark side and the pale retreating side. It's a necessary duality in how female figures navigate the fallout of male scandal.
Now, right around here, Joyce throws in something unexpected. This comparison to an American story, the sugar daddy digression.
Yeah, it's a fascinating little detour on page 65. It feels like Joyce suddenly switches channels to a cheap American movie.
Why do that? Why bring in Hollywood melodrama?
Well, I think it does a couple of things. First, it shows how HCE's very specific, complex Dublin scandal instantly becomes a universal, almost cliché story trope. You know, the old rich guy and the young girl.
Like makes it relatable, maybe?
Yeah.
Or just common?
Both,
Yeah.
probably. And second, it strips away all the dense Dublin history and language and just boils the whole HCE mess down to its crudest elements, like a silent film plot summary.
So what's the plot of this movie?
It's presented as simple as ABC. You've got an old geezer, that's HEC, trying to promise a young honey lamb a guaranteed happy love nest.
Okay, classic setup.
But, he's secretly got a Peaches #2 on the side, and his real wish is that he could somehow canoodle the two together.
Oh dear. The timeless and usually doomed fantasy of the aging guy trying to juggle lovers.
Precisely. He's reduced to this pathetic cherry bum chappie, like a chubby little cherub, or maybe just childish, who inevitably fails. It grounds HCE's mythic fall in just plain, everyday, slightly pathetic sexual farce.
And makes it clear this kind of thing happens everywhere, all the time.
Exactly. Joyce notes the amount of all those sort of things which has been going on has been particularly stupendous, always, everywhere. In private homes and rebus publicus, private homes and public places. It's everybody's potential story.
Okay, so after that little cinematic break, the narrative sort of tries to get back to the investigation, but then we hit these two big roadblocks, right? The famous mysteries, the letter and the coffin.
Yes, these become huge recurring symbols. First, there's the undelivered letter, described as a huge chain envelope written in 7 diverse stages of ink.
7 stages, like Vico's Ages, or maybe multiple authors. And it's addressed weirdly too, isn't it?
Yeah, to hide-and-cheek Addenbury, Dublin, WC, hide-and-cheek, suggests deception, maybe two-facedness. Addenbury could be Edenbury, the Garden of Eden buried. WC could be Wash Closet or Western Central District. It's deliberately ambiguous.
So what is this letter?
It seems to represent the lost narrative, maybe history itself, or even the text of Finnegans Wake. Perhaps it's connected to the female principle, ALP. The big question posed is, will this pouch filled with litterish fragments, a lovely pun on letter and litter, just lurk dormant till the little old hen pokes her beak into the matter?
The little old hen. That's Kate, the housekeeper, right, the one who cleans up the mess.
Exactly. So the truth, the fragmented story, is just sitting there, lost in the system, waiting for the lowest, most overlooked person, the cleaner-upper of history's trash, to find it and piece it together.
It's a great metaphor for finding meaning in fragments. And the second mystery, the coffin. That sounds darker.
It is. It involves the removal of a coffin from Utsman and nephew, who are listed as suppliers of funeral requisites. And the text ponders what else in this mortal world would bring these brides and grooms back, thumbs down, to their ashes.
Brides and grooms, back to their ashes.
Yeah.
It's linking marriage and sex directly to death.
Yes. The cycle of life, union, procreation. It all leads inevitably back to mortality, to the grave, the ashes, the need for that coffin. It underlines that HCE's story, his fall, is tied up in this grand cycle of life, sex, and death, leading towards burial and potential rebirth.
Okay, so HCE has been through the trial. He's been judged by the public. These mysteries are hanging in the air, and now he retreats. He goes into this sort of self-imposed incarceration.
Yeah, he's secured in his place, his pub maybe, described as an enlarged shack, but it's behind a stone-hinged gate.
Stonehenge, like Stonehenge. That sounds ancient, mythic.
Exactly. It connects his personal retreat to these vast, ancient cycles of history, rise and fall. And get this, the gate was triple padlocked on him for his own protection.
Still for his own protection, he's locked in by the community, supposedly to keep him safe from the community.
It's the ultimate paradox of his situation. He's the king in his castle, but he's also a prisoner within it, guarded from the very people he represents.
And just when you think he might get some peace behind his triple-locked gate, along comes the American.
Ah, yes, the unsolicited American visitor, the Hog-Caller.
He sounds ominous. Who is this guy?
He's described as coming from the Middle West, a highly excellent crude man about road. He seems to embody this raw, aggressive, maybe even revolutionary energy. Think of Shem, the rebellious son, or perhaps Muta from the Muta and Juva dialogues. He's the voice of pure, relentless condemnation against the fallen old world father figure.
And his attack method?
Yeah.
It's not physical, is it? Bizarre.
It's magnificently absurd and psychologically brutal. First, to get HEC's attention, he blows some Quaker oats through the House King's keyhole.
Quaker oats, so like breakfast cereal, through the keyhole.
Yep. It's just weirdly domestic and violating. And then for hours, the text specifies from 11:30 to 2 in the afternoon, 2.5 solid hours, he just stands outside and bleated through the gale, hog-collaring insults at HCE.
Hog-calling, like calling pigs for 2.5 hours. That's psychological torture.
It absolutely is. A sustained torrent of verbal abuse. And HCE is trapped inside, silent, just having to listen to it.
So what does HCE do? Does he yell back? Break down?
No. In a very Earwicker way, his response is documentation. He compiles a long list, now feared and part lost, of every single abusive name the American hurled at him.
He makes a list while being verbally assaulted.
It seems so. It's his way of processing the shame, perhaps. And this list, pages 71 to 72, is one of the densest, most linguistically complex parts of the whole book. It's a catalog of insults, a complete demolition job on HCE's identity.
We should probably spend some time on this list, shouldn't we? Because it sounds like a key example of Joyce's method. What kind of insults are we talking about?
Oh, they cover everything. It's like a multilingual inventory of human failings. We can sort of group them thematically. First, you get the political and historical stuff. He's called an informer.
Which is a huge deal in Irish history, right? The ultimate betrayal.
Massive. He's also a yellowigger, linking him maybe to Protestantism or liberalism seen as disloyal. He's called TD, which could be Tista Dala, a member of the Irish Parliament, suggesting political compromise, or maybe time dodger.
And insults tied to places. Local shame.
Definitely. He's a Boxside beauty, deeply sarcastic, referencing a poor area in Derry. He's Tullamore's dit, like a piece of dirt from the town of Tullamore. It grounds his universal failure in specific, local Irish humiliation.
Then there's the criminal and moral dimension.
Right. He's the first nighter, which might imply voyeurism, someone lurking at openings or thresholds. Biblically, he's Cain Delbler, this incredible fusion of Cain the killer and Abel the victim.
So he's both aggressor and victim in one word.
Seems like it. He's also Moonface the murderer and the Hoary Harry hoax. Old, hairy, and a complete fraud.
And doesn't the American mock his status, his pretensions?
Oh, yeah, big time. Attacks his ego. He's accused of thinking he's Godblast the good Duke of Argyll.
Godblast, like God blasted. And Argyll instead of Argo.
Exactly. Blasphemy mixed with aristocratic titles twisted into suggestions of deception. He's the Archducon Cabanger. Archduke reduced to a pile of rotting vegetables. He's called a lobster pot lardling, like a fatty thing caught in a trap. Even thickly padded Hecate, mixing his male identity with a goddess of witchcraft.
It's relentless. I noticed some German-sounding insults, too.
Yes, the attack is international. You get brutal, vulgar German terms like Stodge Arschman.
Agi Arsman.
Pretty much. And digs at the German Kaiser, often linked to bodily functions. The whole list is just this overwhelming, multilingual avalanche of abuse aimed at tearing down every aspect of HCE's being.
It's incredibly dense. Now, you mentioned something crucial earlier, that this Hog-Caller, and maybe even the policeman Long Lally, they aren't entirely separate from HCE.
This is the key insight, I think, the synthesis Joyce offers. These antagonists, the figure of authority like the policeman and the figure of rebellion like the American city, they aren't fundamentally other. They are, as one source puts it, the two sides of a one same power of nature. They are aspects of HCE himself.
So HCE is basically yelling insults at himself through the keyhole for 2.5 hours. How does that work? Does it mean he's not really a victim?
Well, suffering is real, absolutely. But the idea is that the parts of HCE that are doing the accusing, maybe his younger, more idealistic self, or his internalized social conscience, are attacking the compromised, older, fallen self. They are polarized for reunion by the symphysis of their antipathies.
Okay, that's a mouthful. Polarized for reunion.
It means the conflict isn't really external between separate people. It's an internal conflict made external. It's the necessary cycle of guilt, judgment, and self-confrontation that is the human condition, especially for HCE as everybody. Every person carries their own accusers within them.
That's a really profound way to think about guilt and accusation. And it sets up the ending of the chapter, doesn't it? The move towards synthesis and renewal.
Exactly, because despite this absolute verbal annihilation being called everything from Stodge Arschman to Popocatépetl, the volcano, the big dangerous mountain HCE, isn't destroyed. He's just subdued temporarily.
Like Finnegan, he falls but gets ready to rise again.
Precisely. His fate mirrors Finn's resurrection. The chapter ends with the male and female principals, HCE and ALP, relaxing, maybe dozing off before dawn. The cycle is poised to restart.
And this is where we get that famous line, the one that sums up the whole book, maybe.
Yes, the absolute core of the Viconian cycle in the wake. Fall if you but will, rise you must.
Fall. P-H-A-L-L. The phallus, the fall.
Exactly. The fall, the physical stumble, the moral lapse, the social disgrace, it inherently contains the seed of the next rise, the resurrection, the phoenix rebirth. Failure isn't final, it's just part of the engine of renewal.
That's powerful. Now, speaking of the fall, there's that weirdly specific number that keeps cropping up, 32.
Ah, yes, the number 32. It's a fascinating, slightly nerdy detail that runs all through the wake. Joyce apparently derived it from physics.
Physics.
Yeah, 32 feet per second, it's the law of falling bodies, the rate of gravitational acceleration on Earth.
You're kidding. He uses the actual scientific number for falling to represent the fall of man. HCE's fall.
That seems to be the idea. He links this grand theological, moral, historical concept of the fall to a hard, quantifiable law of physics.
Why? What does that achieve?
Well, it makes the fall seem objective. inescapable, almost mechanical. If you exist on Earth, you are subject to this law, this rate of fall. It suggests the Viconian cycle isn't just a nice idea, it's built into the structure of reality.
Wow. And it's always paired with another number, isn't it? 11?
Yes, 11, which is seen as the number of restart, of beginning again after completion. If 10 is the end of a cycle, like fingers on both hands, then 11 is 10 plus 1, the start of the new cycle.
So 32, the number of the inevitable fall.
Paired with 11, the number of the guaranteed restart. It's like the mathematical formula for the whole book. Man falling, but ever self-renewing.
That provides kind of hidden structure beneath all the chaos. So where does that leave HCE at the very end of Chapter 3? After the insults, the trial, the list-making?
He basically just sleeps. He retreats into slumber. The storm of words, the hog-calling, finally fades. We're told words weigh no more to him than raindrops to Rathfarnham, a local Dublin area. They just wash over him.
The immediate drama dissolves.
Temporarily, the wake scene melts away. But HCE himself doesn't disappear. He endures. He becomes part of the landscape again.
How so?
His Bronto-Ichthyan form, that amazing word suggesting a thunderfish, a kind of primal leviathan figure, is seen outlined in the actual geography. He is a giant hill recumbent by the stream he loved, HCE beside his ALP.
He becomes Houthhead, the peninsula, lying next to the river Liffey, his wife ALP.
Exactly. He survives the public crucifixion by transforming back into the enduring landscape, the archetypal father figure resting beside the mother river, waiting for the dawn and the next turn of the wheel.
Okay, that brings us nicely to wrapping up this deep dive. If we had to pull out, say, 3 key takeaways from Chapter 3, what would they be?
Well, first, I think Chapter 3 is absolutely essential for understanding how myth gets made in the wake. We see the raw ingredients, rumor, scandal, gossip, linguistic confusion being cooked into this archetypal story of the fall right before our eyes. It's the mechanism laid bare.
Right, it's not ancient history, it's happening now, fueled by talk.
Second, the absolute blurring of identities. The fact that the accusers, the judges, the commentators all resemble HCE. It drives home that he really is, here comes everybody. His trial isn't just his, it's humanity grappling with itself, its own flaws projected onto a scapegoat. The conflict is internal, played out externally.
Okay, and third?
I think the third is the underlying structure beneath the noise. The way Joyce uses things like the number 32 and 11, it suggests that even within this incredible linguistic chaos and psychological violence, like the Hog-Caller's list, there's a pattern, a predictable cycle of fall and renewal, almost like a natural law.
That's a great summary. Which leads us to a final thought to leave you, the listener, with. The source material points out that this whole spectacle, this verbal butchery of HCE by the Hog-Caller, it gets amplified later in the book, broadcast via radio and television.
Yeah, the technology comes in to spread the gossip and condemnation even further. Which really makes you think, doesn't it? If HCE's scandal was turned into this public spectacle fueled by rumor and relentless abuse.
Then what about our modern media landscape? All that constant outrage, the social media pile-ons, the way public figures are built up and torn down.
Is it possible that our 24/7 news cycle, our endless stream of digital information and judgment is just, well, is it just a high-tech version of the American hog-calling outside HCE's gate?
Are we all participating in that same cycle of public condemnation and vicarious release, just with different tools? Something to consider the next time you find yourself scrolling through a comment section, maybe? Are you watching the eternal return of HCE's trial?
A thought to mull over. Joyce certainly mapped out the dynamics nearly a century ago.
Indeed. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the fascinating, chaotic, and ultimately revealing Chapter 3 of Finnegans Wake. We hope this helps you see those patterns playing out, perhaps even in your own daily feed.